Welcome everyone, and congratulations. You just got yourself a brand new Onewheel GT, and you're probably so stoked to take it out. You read through the whole entire instruction manual already, and you are ready to rock and roll.
I'm proud of you, you know that.
You gear up, you go outside, you set it on the ground, you turn it on, all the lights come on, everything looks great. You go to mount it, and this happens. She's going now. I think we're almost good to go. Oh, what's going on? Why doesn't this board activate? Why does it take me like 5 or 6 tries to get this dang thing to detect my feet and get me going? It's super frustrating. Well, guess what? It actually used to activate super great right out the box right when the GTs came out. But thanks to our federal government, now they're like way less sensitive, and it's really frustrating, and it makes it way tougher to detect your feet. And if you guys want more info on the whole CPSC debacle that I'm so sick of talking about already, click here or wherever Julian puts the video in the screen right now. We got a whole thing on it. Feel free to check it out and get caught up to speed, and then come on back to this video and let's go. So the sensor is on the front foot pad on the board, and it's actually built into 2 zones, a left and a right, and both zones have to be activated in order for your board to recognize a rider and actually activate and turn on and start riding. But once you start moving over a certain speed, I think it's like half a mile an hour, they actually go into a 1 zone where you only have to really be on the left or on the right. But in order to start, and when you're going at very slow speeds, you have to be on both. One of the big issues with the GT stock concave foot pad is because it's concaved, a lot of times what'll happen is your foot can actually bridge sort of between the concave on the heel and the toe. And if you can see right here, Julian, zoom on in on this. You can bridge a gap over the top of the sensor where it needs to activate, and you won't actually be making contact with it, which would be super frustrating and make it to where your board isn't gonna activate unless you like readjust your foot, kind of really get it in there, get your board activated, and then start riding, and then sort of shift it back to where you want it. That's not fun. Who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. You guys don't want to do that. So we're going to talk about a couple easy ways we can fix it, where it's just not going to be a problem anymore, and you guys are going to be able to activate on the first try basically every time. I'm going to show you guys 5 ways to fix your activation issues on your GT. One, kind of fix. I don't know if I count this as a fix, to be honest with you, but a lot of people have found that the new flat front foot pads, the non-concave ones, they'll actually have a lot easier time activating them. And I've found the same thing as well. It is a little bit easier, but I do still run into the issue of not being able to activate it every time. But I don't even know if I'd classify it as like one of the fixes. Might be a little easier, but definitely not gonna be a cure-all for you. So number 1 out of 5 ways to fix your foot pad activation issues. And this is definitely the jankiest way, but it's also the cheapest possible way you can do it. And it's just like a quick, easy fix for you. If you don't want to really spend any time or money on it, this is definitely an easy way to make it happen. These are just straight up furniture coasters from Amazon. So you put them under the legs of your furniture when you slide them around on your hardwood floor so it doesn't scratch your floor. These things surprisingly make your Onewheel activate so much better. So here's how these work. You just peel them off, and you stick it where your feet go. Just make sure you have one on each zone of the sensor, one on the left, one on the right. Boom, there you go. Now when your foot makes contact with it, boom, it makes it way easier to press. You will for sure activate your sensor a million times easier with this way. It works great, but cons, it looks super ugly and janky, so we got that going for us. They're also slippery, so you're kind of getting rid of a lot of the benefits that you get with like a hyper aggressive grip tape, but hey, it's gonna work. So if you don't care about how your board looks, you know, you're just a mellow street cruiser, you just want it to activate, you got another fix going on down the road, but you just need something that's gonna work for today, boom, this works fantastic. You can also use like extra little pieces of grip tape or basically anything that just sits up above the grip tape and will make contact with your foot. That's all you really need. A little bit of a buffer there. Boom, way number 1, easy, cheap, no problem. Way number 2 out of 5 to fix your foot pad activation issues. So this one's kind of in the same vein as the furniture leg coasters right here, but we get rid of all of the cons with those, which are, you know, you make it more slippery, it's kind of janky, all that stuff. These right here, these are gripples. I just threw them all over the place, but I got 2. That's all I really needed. Gripples, they do basically the exact same thing as those furniture coasters, except they actually improve grip. They're not all janky. You can place them wherever you need to. They'll help keep your feet on the board, but they help so much with sensor activation. These little guys right here, these are urethane poured. They're essentially like custom shaped little snowboard stomp pads, if you know what those are, if you snowboard. You can place them anywhere you want on the board. I kind of like one right up here where my toe sits. And then I kind of also like to put one right here under the arch of my foot, right? So when your foot goes on there, it activates both sides of those sensors, keeps your feet way more on the board, keeps you locked in on those chunky trails, and they look a whole hell of a lot better than those furniture coasters. This is also a really cheap, effective way to not only get better sensor activation, but also keep your feet better stuck to the board, because everyone knows you don't want your feet shifting around on this board, especially through chunky trails. So boom, Gripples, you can get them on our website, floatlife.com. Probably a link somewhere. Oh, description. We'll put a link in the description. There you go. Easy. Method number 3 out of 5 for taking care of your foot pad sensor activation issues on your GT is a little more invasive. It's definitely something people have been using for a long time on their XRs and their Pints, but you got to pull the board apart a little bit. It's a little bit more of like, I don't want to say permanent solution, but it definitely changes the dynamics of the board. You're going to lose the heel lift ability on this one in order to turn your board off. So you will have to know how to skid stop or just jump completely off the board. A lot of people like Julian over here, yeah, he doesn't like losing the heel lift method, so he does not like this method. But the good news is it's reversible and it's easy to take out if you don't like it. So this one is called the Europause. What you want to do for the Europause, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to bridge the connection between the left and the right side of the foot pad to, instead of to where it's a 2-zone foot pad, it just basically turns it into a 1-zone foot pad. It'll activate a lot easier. You won't have to activate both sides of it in order to activate. You only have to activate one side. So if just your heel's on, it's gonna work. Just your toe is on, it's also gonna work. First thing you wanna do is take your foot pad completely off. So once you have the foot pad off right here, what you wanna do is on the plug itself, you wanna identify the 2 holes that we're gonna use. So you see this notch right here in the top. Hold that notch up in the top, and there's 2 holes just to the left of that notch. Those are the left and the right sensors. So what we want to do is we want to bridge those 2 connections with a really thin wire. I've got a whole bunch of little wire right here. I'm gonna peel out a couple little pieces. We're gonna bridge that connection. Julian will get a nice close-up shot of how that looks, and then we're gonna plug it back in and see if it worked. All right, now once you have your wire, what you want to do is bend it into a little U shape, and then you'll stick it into both of those holes, and that'll bridge the connection. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. That's the shot right there. That's the one. All right, and it's easy as that. Now we officially have a Europause. In order to check to make sure that it worked correctly, what you want to do is turn your board on just like normal, and then you will test both sides of your foot pad. Now when I press the left side here, normally only half of this light bar would light up blue, just the left side, but the whole thing's gonna light up now. Yep, and then test the right side. Same thing, whole thing lights up. So all you need to do now when you have a Europause in order to activate the board is only be on half of the board and it will activate. You don't have to be across both sensors. Again, you do lose a little something with this. You lose the ability to do the heel lift dismount, so you won't be able to do that anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Not only do you lose the ability to do the heel lift dismount, it may or may not increase the chances of ghosting. I don't think it will personally, but other people have argued the other direction. So just be aware of that. That is the Europause. Now, method number 4 out of 5 for fixing your GT activation issues. It's gonna be my actual preferred way to do it. This is what I would recommend to all you guys. That would be the Sure Start right here. Cool thing about the Sure Start is you get all the benefits of a single zone sensor without any of the drawbacks of having a permanent single zone sensor, because it's a temporary single zone sensor. So what it does is it actually makes the 2 sides of the sensor act as one during startup, and then you can actually program a timer on it to be anywhere up to 15-second delay, where it reverts back to a 2-zone sensor. So upon startup, it's gonna activate for you great. And then when you do wanna stop and do the heel lift dismount, you still have it. So you don't lose that, which is fantastic. There's also a couple more benefits that you can get if you go with the Sure Start Pro, but those are mainly for people who are riding super gnarly trails, sending jumps, things like that. So the standard Sure Start's what you want if you want to fix just your sensor activation issues, and that's all you're looking for. And again, this is my preferred method for fixing this issue. So if you've got the funds to do it, this is the way to go for sure. All right, here we are. We're in the home stretch. Number 5 out of 5, the final way to fix your sensor activation issues on your GT. Now, before we get into this one, I'm gonna say I do not recommend this one. I wouldn't do this one if I were you guys, if you have any concerns about ghosting or anything like this. Now that I've said this, don't try this at home, kids, but you know, people are gonna recommend this one. It's already out there on the internet, so I figured we might as well touch on it and just let you guys know that this way does exist. What this does is it essentially turns these foot pads into a pre-recall foot pad. So what Future Motion did, one of the things that they did when they got in trouble with the CPSC about ghosting boards, is they added an extra layer of plastic underneath the grip tape but over the top of the sensor in order to make the sensor less sensitive so that it's less prone to ghosting. But a consequence of that is now it's a little bit trickier to activate. So what you can do is actually peel that layer of plastic off in order to make it more sensitive. But you run a very high risk of damaging your sensor if you do this incorrectly. It's very easy to screw it up and do it incorrectly. And if you do that, you gotta buy a whole new set of foot pads. And it's also very easy to possibly make your board ghost if you grip it wrong after that as well. So again, this is the most dangerous thing that you can possibly do in all of these 5 ways in order to fix your sensor activation issues, but it does exist. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. Don't do this method. Don't do it, just don't, it's not worth the risk, but here's how you do it if you were theoretically going to do it, which you're not. All right, so what you wanna do is get in really, really close to here, put your glasses on, get your magnifying glass, your microscope, and you'll actually see right here in the corner that there's multiple layers of plastic stacked up on top of the sensor. What you wanna do is only peel the very, very top layer of plastic off of it. If you peel the second to top layer of plastic, guess what? You've officially broken your sensor and you're done. So don't do that. Take a knife, get your favorite knife. I know this one is very large and intimidating. This guy right here, this is Julian's knife. I would never carry something so dangerous. You wanna just get it underneath that very, very top layer right there and peel that very, very top layer up. There it goes. You see that? And then grab it. Now I always like to start from either this corner or this corner, one of the corners closest to the tire. Because of the way that the plastic is cut in here, it peels off better this direction than this direction. Just get in there and start peeling it off. I would not suggest using heat for this one, because if you use heat, you can actually heat up the adhesive underneath the actual sensor itself. And then if you peel that whole sensor up, you ruin your sensor. So I would just go cold, room temp on this one, and just slowly peel that plastic back. And you wanna kind of pull it at a low angle. Avoid pulling it straight up because you don't wanna separate the sensor. Just kind of peel it nice and slow, straight back like this. There you go. And that's it. Now you just wanna throw some fresh grip tape on there. I would suggest some TFL grip, either trail or street, whatever your choice, and re-grip that bad boy, and you're good to go. You now officially have a pre-recall sensor, which again, don't do this method, but this is how people do it if they do this method. You don't think this is gonna be too loud? This is gonna sound so horrible in the microphone the entire time. And that's it, guys. Those are the 5 ways to fix your Onewheel GT sensor activation issue. Which one is your guys' favorite? Let me know down in the comments. I hope this video was helpful, you guys. Let me know if you need to see anything else, any other tips or tricks, or if you kind of like this style of video. If you're just like, you know what, Jeff, get out of here, just go do some sweet riding vids. We want to see some more follow me's, you know? Let me know down in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. Anyway, thanks again. Appreciate y'all. Float on, my friends. Cool? You good? We wrapped? Is that a wrap? Is that the trailer? We good? Solid. I didn't even finish my kombucha yet. Oh, it's been sitting under the hot lights for way too long. That's not good.